Hi there, it's Justin Espiritu, your host for the Voice on Demand podcast. Today features Dina Sidani, recorded live at the Retail Congress MENA 2019. Today we'll be prioritizing exploring Chalhoub Group's greenhouse innovation in a retail technology accelerator program, matching startups with corporate sponsors. Come and learn from retail leader Chalhoub Group's new groundbreaking initiative in the retail world called Greenhouse.
The Voice on Demand podcast, brought to you by the Middle East Council of Shopping Centres and Retail, sponsored by Retail Music International.
Subscribe now to the Voice on Demand podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Stitcher.
I'm Dina. I'm the head of the Greenhouse, the Chalhoub Group's space for innovation and entrepreneurship. So just to set the scene a little bit and give you context on why we created the Greenhouse, a couple years ago we started a transformation project called Shift. Shift has a North Star vision of taking us from being a traditional retailer and distributor to becoming a retailer, a hybrid retailer, providing luxury experiences to customers' fingertips everywhere. Our goal of Shift, which the Greenhouse is part of, is to really future-proof the group. And I think a lot of the people before me spoke a lot about innovation and disruption, so good context for what we're going to talk about now. So the Shift movement has 7 guiding principles, and I'm not going to go through all of them because we'll need a whole day just for that, but I wanted to highlight 2 of the guiding principles that really were the reason why the Greenhouse was created. One was that we start small, we fail fast or scale fast, which is kind of that entrepreneurship mindset. And the second is that startups are our allies. And from that, we created the Greenhouse. So why really did we do it? I think David Rowan spoke about this before, but, Kodak they did see, but they got disrupted by digital photography. And then Blockbuster got disrupted by Netflix. But the thing with the both of them is that they both knew, actually the digital photography was invented at Kodak, but because their organizations weren't ready for those disruptions and they didn't want to be cannibalized by those disruptions, they ignored them. And so that's why we created the Greenhouse. We want to disrupt ourselves before being disrupted. And the mission really and the purpose of the Greenhouse is to grow and unleash this collective brilliance, what we call the collective brilliance. It's partnering, creating this open innovation ecosystem where we partner with startups, even though David Rowan said, these incubators, I don't know if he's still here, are fluffy and stuff. I agree, but there are certain incubators and reasons why you should be working with startups. So our purpose is to create this collective brilliance and really partner with startups, create our own startups, bring out latent entrepreneurship from our organization, and really focus on them. So this week actually marks the 1-year anniversary or anniversary of the Greenhouse. And so one of the things that I heard a lot about is this piece about culture and innovation. And innovation is all about culture. And what we do at the Greenhouse is we have something that everybody says when they come into the Greenhouse and they leave. We have that energy, we have that culture. And I wanted to create a video for our 1 year that really tries to give you a taste of that magic. It's been challenging, exciting. Heading the Greenhouse has been such a great experience for me.
When I first signed up, obviously you're a bit nervous. You want to test something that you have no idea if it's going to work or not.
The Greenhouse gives you people and strategies and access to different tools to keep you on track and to keep you focused.
I think one of the biggest achievements is that we ensured a great selection of startups.
We're so entrepreneurial, it's so innovative, it's so exciting to come here. It doesn't feel like you're coming to work every day.
We felt that within our group we could innovate and create all those new ideas.
It kind of shows in all the attention we're getting from all over the world that we're doing something super unique in the region and globally. The one word I say is proud of the group. That's the greenhouse. Just to give you a little bit more detail on what we do, we run 3 key programs at the greenhouse. The first is a Retail Technology Solutions Accelerator, where we go in-house to our brand managers and we understand from them where their pain points and challenges lie and where their priorities are for that period. And then we go out and find startups who are solving those problems in an innovative way. We then bring those startups to Dubai, and we work with them over a 3-month period where we pilot their technologies in one store or one brand, and understand we give them KPIs and understand whether those KPIs are actually showing traction. If they show traction, we sign deals with them, roll them out to more stores within that brand, more brands in that network, or more countries in our region. So that's the accelerator program. We have a program called Ibtikar, which means innovation in Arabic, where we ask people from the group to submit ideas that are relevant to our North Star vision, which I spoke about earlier. If they're selected to be part of the Ibtikar program, we take them out of their roles, we bring them to the greenhouse, and we give them funding, time off of their roles, and mentorship and access to our network over a metered funding kind of period to see the ones that have traction, we give them more funding and more resources, and the ones that don't, we kill them. And then we also, if they do get killed as startups, because we do believe in that start small, scale fast, or fail fast, we have roles for them in the organization after they either take back the role that they left or they find other roles in the organization. And the third part, and we heard a lot about this as well, is the community aspect. We try to do what we call this cultural osmosis. So we try to have as many touch points between the entrepreneurial ecosystem and our corporate brand sponsors and brand managers so that we can create that agility and learn more from startups how they have that agility. So those are kind of the 3 key programs we have. And so to give you a little bit more about what's in it for us as a group, number 1 is this culture shift, this cultural osmosis. It's really tangible what you can see at the greenhouse in this cultural osmosis where we work with the startups. We see how they make decisions quickly. We see how they innovate, and we try to do the same. The other one is continuous improvement, so this concept of incremental innovation. So through the accelerator, we're able to improve our customer journeys by partnering with these retail technology startups who find ways to either give us incremental revenue or to do some cost savings and cost efficiencies. And I'll give you some more examples about that later. Then you have the disrupt ourselves piece, which is through Ibtikar. You know, we look at disruptive business models and we try to disrupt ourselves first. Then all of this is very helpful in keeping our finger on the pulse of innovation. We're always aware of what's going on in the market of retail all over the world because of our programs there. And finally, and not the least part, is this talent piece and this positioning ourselves as a very forward-thinking and innovative organization, which means we can retain talent better and we can attract, become a magnet for really great new style talent. So what have we done in the accelerator and what have we achieved so far in the past year? We've had 2 cohorts of 5 startups each. We've had over 200 submissions for the applications for the startups. We've had 10 of these startups come from 10 different countries. And I think some of them, just to give you a few of what we've been testing, we've had in-store analytics companies, we've had a content collaboration tool, we've had an order management system tool, we've had AI for inventory management, we've had an AI for styling. So there's a long list, and one of the things we're super proud of is that we've been able to source 2 of the foundational technologies of our hybrid transformation through the greenhouse. And then you can see that when we first started the greenhouse, we were hoping to do 3 out of 5 pilots for each of the startups, and we were able to do 8. And that's to show you really the demand from the organization of really wanting to innovate and really adapting and adopting this kind of mindset. And you can see some big names up on the presentation. We have actually signed or are signing at least 13 agreements with these 10 startups. So we are doing things that are adding value to both the startups and the organization. And we've had I think in less than a year, we've had over 50 events at the greenhouse with 1,000 guests visiting us. So to make this a little bit more on the ground and less fluffy, I wanted to give you a case study of something we did. So Store DNA, a startup that's focused on in-store analytics, they combine and merge data from camera vision and blend that with in-store transactions and staff allocation data to give us actionable insights on improving the customer journey. So really what it does is it's like a Google Analytics for in-store. So we can very quickly test and understand certain changes in product placement and visual merchandising and staff allocation to then quickly see KPIs that allow us to make changes that are data-driven rather than based on intuition. So, we've been doing retail for a very long time. So we have these conceptions of the way customers behave. Those behaviors change over time. Now we have tools that allow us to see very quickly what those behaviors are and what changes to the store actually add value and which ones destroy value. I think over the 3-month pilot, we looked at 3 different use cases: staff allocation, which I'll get a little bit more into detail later, visual merchandising, and storefront design. And the one thing I really wanted to talk about was you don't just get these tools that are standard. They're not just vendors, these startups. They work with us to really innovate. They understand our challenges, and they co-create products that actually customize solutions for what we need. So one of the things that Store DNA is working with us with is this tool that will predict the store staff rotas based on optimizing our conversion in store. So if we look a little bit closer into the staff allocation use case, they looked at the flow of customers at certain times and days, and they looked at the staff capacity, and they looked at conversion, and very quickly understood that where we had some misconceptions about when we should have the most staff in store, and so made small changes like giving the break of the staff on a different time, and changing some staff from weekdays to weekends, and that increased our conversion rate in only one store by 0.87 percentage points. So imagine what could happen if you take that small learning and apply it to our other 20 stores in that network. Very quick wins. The second one is this visual merchandising piece, which is really interesting, where we looked at the Tory Burch Dubai Mall store, and we have 3 different rooms in that store. Where we quickly saw, again, that the engagement and product engagement in the second room was 2.5 times the first room. And so with a small change of the collections in room 1 and 2, they were able to quickly see a 27% increase in sales. And it's not the tool that actually increased our sales. It was the tool that allowed us to see within 2 weeks that there was an increase in sales, and so we could apply that learning to all of our other stores and really validate that that assumption is true. So we do some startup series, and this is, you can hear from the actual team on what we've done with Tory Burch and Store DNA.
We bring new generation analytics to the modern management of physical retail. We do this by delivering an intelligent software platform called Store DNA, which collects in-store shopper behavioral data by using surveillance networks and blends it with detailed economics of the retail network.
So last time we spoke, we talked and defined 3 use cases for Tory Burch and Store DNA. So the first one was staff allocation, second one the product engagement, and last one the Windows store design, how we can improve and work on these three targets. Since end of November, we are looking at the staff allocation. We can talk per guest, per hour, weekdays or weekend. So we did first adjustments beginning of the month, beginning of April. We need to monitor this one end of April, beginning of May, and we'll make maybe other adjustments or other findings useful for the future. We focus on product engagement as we increased the sales by plus 27% on the display and the engagement. So maybe it's a good insight to use for the future, but we still need to monitor this one before any implementation. And the last one, I would like to talk about Windows design. So from the new collection in our store since February, we are just trying new display, new windows, and we are tracking this one for the first time, I would say, to see what is the most impactful. So the assumption we had, as many brands, is we need to push new collection at the entrance of the store to attract more people and increase our sales. But what we noticed with the display we did, the action we took, a mix of new collection and classical is more attractive, impactful, and generates at the end more sales and engagement. So we still need to track this one to prove it's a winning concept to implement maybe in other stores in the region.
With Tory Burch, we are rolling out in more stores in the region, more concretely Kuwait, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia, with stores that we chose based on the strategic targets. Namely, for some of them, we'll be driving more visitors to the stores, and for the others, we'll go directly to the conversion in the stores themselves. We're also kicking off with Lacoste, and there we are delivering a slightly adapted solution, which is basically plug and play and not necessarily analyzing the video feeds in the first phase.
So that's the first case study. The second case study I quickly wanted to go over was what IntelliStyle and another startup called Shopee did with Dolce & Gabbana and Dubai Mall. So IntelliStyle is an AI for styling that you can integrate into different customer touchpoints. So you can recommend alternative products, lookbooks, etc. for the brand. So what we really wanted to do was we wanted to pilot with Shopee, which is a clienteling and a staff app. We wanted to integrate the AI in there so we could empower our staff to be like stylists. So we have a couple really strong stylists in Dolce & Gabbana who are quite expensive. You can't have every single frontliner be a stylist, but you can provide them with tools that can help them increase their average basket. It can help with conversion. So we had, when we spoke to the GM of Dolce & Gabbana, we were trying to scope out the pilot for the 3 months, and she came up with a list of 10 different use cases she wanted for the pilot. We had to pick 2, just so we could get them done within 3 months, and we worked on how we could reduce missed opportunities for items that were out of stock or items that weren't in the size of what the customer needed. And so we wouldn't lose those opportunities because we were able to give them alternatives in their product catalog that they could offer to the customer. The second use case was through understanding customer history, customer preferences, and being able to suggest lookbooks based on certain products that the customer was trying on, and therefore being able to upsell and cross-sell certain products with them. And our third cohort, which just kicked off, is about the store of the future, excuse the cliche, but Level Shoes, which is one of our most successful own concepts, is undergoing a transformation, and it's really going to be the pilot of our hybrid transformation. We're really prioritizing it and putting a lot of resources into transforming the brand over the next couple of years. And this is just, some of the things we want to tackle in that. The greenhouse will tackle a part of the scope of the store of the future. We'll go out and find startups in each of the challenges. So, for example, buying optimization is one of the challenges. A wow in-store experience is one of the challenges. Improving efficiency of in-store ops is one of the challenges. We'll go out and find a few startups in each of those challenges. And then we'll do an assessment where we pick the best startup for that challenge, and we'll automatically get them to sign a deal with Level to work with us on this pilot. So Ibtikad is our other program, which is the in-house incubator. Again, we spoke about this earlier. We do a metered funding process. We bring the employee from the group into the greenhouse, and we work with them on this metered funding process. And I'll get into the metered funding process next. But they at least work with us for 3 months in testing their assumptions. And really, they propose a hypothesis of a disruptive business model, and instead of just, thinking about what we believe about the disruptive business model, we go out and test it and understand whether it would work or not. We give them support, mentorship, and access to our full network, and the whole organization is super supportive of this program. So how do we do this? We I don't know if people know about the lean startup methodology, but we apply the same thing here. Instead of creating, a $1 million website, we do an MVP, a minimum viable product, and we understand from customer feedback how to improve the product if there is customer traction, and we go through this metered funding process. So we have a transition phase where we move the person out of the role into the greenhouse, but they can also start working on their MVP. They spend 1 day a week with us, where we work on their business model canvas, we work on design thinking processes, etc. And then they come to work with us for 3 months in what we call the proof of concept phase. And at the end of each of these phases, we have a go, no-go trigger, where we have an advisory board that decides whether they've shown traction for their idea or whether they're the right entrepreneur to lead this idea. And if they do show traction, we give them more funding and more time off to work on this idea. So far, in about a year and a half, we've tested 6 big ideas, and 50% of them are still active. 50% of them we've killed off. Where that, which has just raised its equivalent of a seed round with the group, is a data-driven personal styling service that sends boxes of clothing based on the data that they collect about you. U-Beaut is similar, but for beauty, where she sends a box with a sample and the full product, and you test them. If you like, you keep what you like, and you send back what you don't. And Sippy, which is a kind of mobile wallet for specialty coffee, and you get prepaid coffee plans, get a discount for your coffee plan. It sounds very off of what we do, but what we wanted to do was, Sippy was the guy who runs Sippy is a very good entrepreneur, and we wanted to make a role model out of him, but we're also trying to test out these, what we call wild cards. Some of the other business models that we've tested are a shoppable social network, circular fashion, so rentals, and some frictionless payment and loyalty. And I just wanted to leave you, because I think a lot of people are starting to think about having these innovation labs, and with the learnings that we've had over the past year, some do's and don'ts. Do give full support from senior leaders. I think one of our key success factors is that Patrick Chalhoub is always at the greenhouse. He's always pushing up for us at the greenhouse. He attends all of our events. He comes to mentor the Ibtikarians. He comes to meet the startups personally when they're in town. And so we really get great support from him, from our Chief Transformation Officer on this initiative. Without that, these initiatives wouldn't get anywhere. You need to play as a role model for your organization that startups are important, that innovating is important. Separate it from the bureaucracy of the organization. I think David also covered this of be agile. You can't have the same policies and procedures that you have for an innovation lab that you have for the whole organization, or you will kill all the startups and you will kill all the entrepreneurs inside that innovation lab. Share data and challenges. What we saw and what I talked about is that one of the best things we've gotten out of the accelerator is because we've shared these challenges and pain points that we have in our brands, we were able to get very tailored, customized solutions from startups to be able to solve those problems in a very creative way. Do not make this a PR stunt, even though I'm up here talking about it, but don't do it just for the PR. The reason that most accelerators and innovation labs die are because they're done just for the PR and not for actual substance of what they're doing internally. I think we've gotten so much PR from the greenhouse, we haven't asked for that PR. We've done things that are actually impactful and that got us that PR organically. And then don't outsource it to a third party. If you are going to do it, you are going to be approached by a lot of these big accelerator players. I think it's important to outsource parts of it that you're not, that are not your core competitive advantage, but don't outsource it all. I think depending on your objectives, it's really important that there are people who know the organization that work in your incubator or innovation lab to be able to navigate certain to navigate the organization.
Thank you for listening, and that is our special episode from the Retail Congress MENA 2019. For more of the Middle East Council of Shopping Centers and Retailers, visit our website at www.macsc.org.